The World Bank partners with public and private sectors and a whole range of stakeholders who are interested in transforming agriculture using digi-agri technologies, particularly in developing countries. So let's take a look now at the opportunities in the private sector when it comes to agri-food and technology. So coming up, you're about to have the pleasure of being and seeing a panel moderated by the Senior Director of Disruptive Technologies at the IFC. He is standing by. But first, we are going to go to the group CEO, the Executive Director, you know he's important, and the co founder of Olam. He has a couple of questions for us.
So how do we really go and transform the food and agricultural system to become a more sustainable one? And what is the role of digital and digital technologies in ushering in this transformation? So the first thing that we need to do is to provide radical transparency across the whole agricultural supply chain, starting with farmers and ending up at the consumer. And that means because we have 500, 550 smallholder farming households in many countries, we need strong digital technologies to be able to provide that radical transparency. And in this context, Olam launched a sustainability platform and offering called AtSource, where we provide supply chain data, insights, measurement of impact, generating actions that are required to reduce this intensity, and also how to engage with stakeholders and the narratives that are required to show this radical transparency. Secondly, we want to really transform the livelihoods of farmers. And if you don't transform the livelihoods of farmers, the agricultural production system is at stake. So how can we do that? First is to have technology at the farm gate to be able to collect the information and data on all smallholder farmers. So we have developed the Olam Farmer Information System, where we collect information on the farmers in terms of his household size and the number of people who are going to school in his household, and his agricultural practices, his yields, his costs, and so that we can use that data to help him improve his productivity and to improve his prosperity. The third is that we have tried to develop a farmer services platform application, and this came home to us very sharply during the global pandemic, when we could not access the farmers using our army of field agents and extension services officers as a result of the lockdowns and the restriction measures. And therefore, we came up with a digital tool to provide the farmer very personalized, contextualized, next best actions that he can take on the farm by building an agronomy nudge brain that is based on machine learning that can provide him very contextualized and personalized information on how he can improve his farming practices and therefore catalyze his livelihoods.
Thank you, Femi. Pleased to announce today's panel discussion on the use of disruptive technologies and digital business models in the agri-food sector. Pleased to introduce my two panelists for today's discussion. First, Lori Hanover, Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer of Netafim. She's been in that role for 8 years, and she's also leader of Netafim's Global Community Irrigation Initiative. Netafim, for you that don't know it, is a global leader in precision agriculture irrigation systems. Second, I'd like to introduce Tiro Nagarajan, co-founder and CEO of NinjaCart, India's largest full-stack tech-based fresh produce supply chain business. It's great to have panelists that are focused on both sides of the agri-value chain. Lori focuses on precision agriculture in terms of the input side, and Thiro focused on maximizing food security and availability on the output side. You know, agritech has been on an explosive trajectory over the past 24 months. It's a little late to the technology game, but it's really catching up and catching steam as more businesses have been formed to disrupt what has historically been a fairly traditional industry. Agtech is now driving radical innovations that are helping to improve productivity, solve large climate challenges, enhance food supply chain efficiency, and provide smallholder farmers with actually access to finance for all of their inputs. And it's doing this all while improving resiliency of the global food production ecosystem. So now I'd like to invite my panelists, and I'll start with Lori to answer a question. So my first question, how do respective businesses look at embedding data, science, and other digital technologies into your operations? And how have those tech-based solutions impact producers, consumers, and other participants in the supply chain? Lori?
Thank you, Bill. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what it is that we do so that we can frame the answer properly. So as you mentioned, we have pioneered drip irrigation technology, which enables farmers essentially to grow more with less. Less water, less fertilizer, less crop protection, more quality, more output, resilience to climate change, more sustainable, traceable, basically precision ag to do more output with less input. So if we take that and we say, how can we use data and digital in our technology? What we see is that it allows us to provide smart agronomic and operational decision making to the farmers in real time. And this is particularly important if we want to talk about how we're going to solve the various issues that the world is confronting. So what we do is we have now developed an open platform that measures or monitors the field, that analyzes various data sources, and then controls the operation, meaning it's going to give real-time, valuable decision-making options to the grower. So if we just delve into that for 1 second. So we have earth sensors, and we have, let's call them non-earth sensors. So we're bringing various forms of data from the ground, and we're bringing data from weather or other cloud-based information sources. We're integrating that together with the 55 years of agronomic knowledge that Netafim agronomists have accumulated, which we've been able to digitize. And so now we have, let's call it a brain, that is taking all types of data forms, basing it on various crop models that we have developed over time, and now being able to deploy it digitally in real time to the farmer in a very simple manner through his phone that says, irrigate now, don't irrigate now, wait, do this, do that. So you enable growers who do not have this knowledge and expertise to find it very simple and easy to now make the right types of decisions to achieve much more output from their fields. We envision that going forward, we can add AI and machine learning to even improve this further. And it's also collecting a lot of data. And that data can be used for various reasons. It can be used for helping make more predictive models for climate insurance, for example. So we're able to capture data from all around the environment on the ground and deploy it in such a way that we get better decisions and more precise decisions in a very simple and easy to operate manner. You asked about other areas in the chain. Well, we've also deployed digital tools to enhance our learning or training of growers, to give them online information and feedback about how to better grow their crops, what needs to be the considerations, and how they can better use the resources at their disposal to get a better and more quality, sustainable product. So our focus as we go forward is also to enable our channel partners and our growers to make smarter decisions and have ready access to the technology and data that we have accumulated over time and will continue to accumulate as we move forward.
Thank you, Lori. It's fascinating that your business, started in Israel where water is scarce, and so maximizing data.
Not anymore.
Was key to that. Tira, same question to you. How do you think about data science and technology and completely redoing the supply chain or the distribution chain, if you will, of fruits and vegetables in a country the size of India?
Yeah. So the biggest problem India faces is fruits and vegetables, which is entirely a perishable item, is transported in a non-temperature controlled supply chain. Right? That is another key issues because of which timely movement of items from the farmland to the demand markets is going to be very, very crucial. And because of which a farmer loses out a lot of things because he doesn't know what is the right price he should expect. Because if he has to figure out how to explore the right price, maybe the time will pass and the item will perish. So he makes decisions in a hurry, right? So he doesn't know what is the right price, what is the right demand center to send his items to. Okay, what is going to be the supply demand in a demand market because of which what price he'll be able to fetch. He has no information whatsoever. It's like shooting in the dark for the farmer, right? He produces something. Once the harvest is done, he has to somehow figure out a middleman who can take his produce to the demand center, whichever demand center is possible for him, right? And also, this is the problem with the farmer. But the other biggest problem the ecosystem faces is in a market and a demand market. The demand market has no clue about what is going to be the supply that is going to hit the market on that particular day. For example, let's say a city like Bangalore, let's say for example that it can consume 20 trucks of onions, just an example. Suddenly, if there is a 21st truck that lands in Bangalore on one particular day, the onion prices crashes in the sense that there are no takers for one truck, and that guy starts selling low, everyone starts selling low. Finally, like onion, let's say if it's at 20 rupees, suddenly it will drop to 15 rupees, right? So there is no visibility of a supply that is going to come into a market. So the biggest problem that this sector faces is timely supply demand of data and pricing data for the farmers. Also it's not available for the demand markets, also not available because, and also like for logistics planning also it's very difficult because you don't know tomorrow which farmer is going to produce what and what kind of truck is needed. Sometimes the farmer produces and there is no trucks available to transport it from the farmland to maybe any other demand points, and the farmer has to just leave the item without finding a right partner, and maybe he takes it next day where the item would have the value of the item deteriorates, right? Because it is a perishable. So these are some of the huge challenges a farmer who grows vegetables and fruits faces in India, right? And what we trying to solve is we try to get these farmers onto a platform where they expose us a visibility into their harvest calendar. For example, we precisely track to in our farmer network who is going to harvest what at what point of time. That plays a very crucial role for us to even sort of do a planning, saying okay, tomorrow this village I can get this much of SKU, and I can decide which demand markets I should take it to, right? And then I can also figure out what is the right demand market for the farmer. That's also crucial, right? Because I can in for every nearby every farmer there could be 2 3 demand markets which are possible, and then I decide where to take it to. So for all of this, right? For all of this matching supply and demand, figuring out how do we do logistics, optimizing for logistics, for all of that we need to map out source data, demand data, and also plan for the logistics. This is only possible by having a tech-enabled data platform, right? For example, we need data collection on the farmer's end, on what is he growing, when he's going to harvest, etc. We need to collect data on the demand side. What are the going prices in different markets? How many customers we have whom we can sell it to? Right, what will be the demand for the next day? So if you see Ninjacart, we predict farmer harvest, we predict customers demand on a daily basis, and we keep matching it and keep optimizing for the logistics and also for the operations, because we had to ensure that all these items reaches the store in less than 12 hours so that the storekeeper has more shelf life to sell this, because there is no temperature control anywhere, right? So these are some of the hard problems which we are trying to solve through data and tech.
It's
And like currently it's like a farmer typically realizes only like 20-30% of what a retailer pays, and we are trying to improve that significantly.
Thank you, Tira. It's really interesting that both of you guys are solving inefficiencies while having a major climate benefit at the same time in terms of the full agri-food chain. Second question, just really quick, Tiro, why don't you kick us off just in a minute or so? You know, this is the private sector panel of the World Bank public sector dialogue on the importance of digitization of the agriculture sector. What do you think the challenges are rolling out new technologies and the adoption of those, both from the standpoints in your business, but really from an enabling government policy, including those policies in India, for example, in your business that could hurt or help your business grow?
So, in terms of adoption of technology, right, building trust among the farmers is going to be the very crucial thing for even tech adoption. Though when we see the growth of smartphone penetration in India with farmers over the last 4 years, I believe it has gone up from 30% to somewhere around 70%. That's what we largely see. Let's say farmers who work with NinjaCat, initially when we had an app, only 20% of the farmers used to adopt that, but right now we see like a 60-70% adoption, and we see farmers able to access any kind of technology solution. Let's say, be it advisory, be it what is it, the farm management tools, or for that matter, people on the output interacting with people. Right, technological adoption has rapidly scaled up because of smartphone penetration and cheap availability of data. Right, India, I think, has leapfrogged in terms of data. Right, so access to data has become like it's like water. We need to have access to data. Right, so that is the thing. In terms of government policies, the government has adopted a lot of pro farmer policies, particularly in vegetables and fruits, which has enabled companies like NinjaCat to operate. For example, vegetables and fruits in India, in most of the states, is like they allow anyone to go buy directly from a farmer and sell it to
Interesting.
anyone. So in that way, the government has sort of deregulated in a lot of states, and there is a lot of activity from the government side to proactively create a farmer producer organizations, self-help groups among farmers, helping them with financing, helping them with support on inputs, how do you manage their farms and how do you improve their productivity, etc. There is a huge subsidy on drip irrigation that happens to all the farmers, and also for greenhouse, what is it? Cultivation, there's a lot of subsidies that are given. So the government is promoting a lot of good practices, and also training the farmers a lot on getting better produce. And I think as it keep continues and digital adoption keep increasing, I think a lot of farmers are going to come up and are going to get realize the fruit of all the effort that is happening in the sector.
Thank you. Lori, briefly, how about you with respect to Netafim? What are the enabling policies that would be helpful?
Sure, I'll pick up where my colleague mentioned about the situation in India, which is really ideal when you think about it. So the first problem that we see is, how do you bring this technology to mass market? How do you bring it to a population that is spread out, small farmers who don't have the wherewithal and probably are technologically less savvy? And what we have here is we've done actually in India is the concept of community irrigation / agriculture, where you take 20,000 farmers in multiple villages and you provide the infrastructure, both the irrigation infrastructure, but as well as the digital infrastructure to enable them to access the benefit of this technology. The second challenge that we see is the integration of systems. There are a lot of technologies on farm, but the challenge will be, how does one integrate them to create a whole lake of actionable information that can help to better improve the farm output, sustainability, traceability, and create a seamless integration of these. So I would say that these are the two. And if we could make progress in the accessibility to digital, as well as the accessibility to the fundamentals of the technology, in our case, irrigation, that would be very helpful.
Thank you. True Internet of Things. I see a partnership potentially brewing between Netafim and NinjaCart, where you guys could partner together to improve output and transparency and reduce food waste in India. I want to thank you, Lori, and thank you, Tiro, for your time today. The private sector broadly, including new ag tech business models and more established players, becoming more digital, partnered with the investment community, have a key role to play in piloting and rolling out disruptive technologies and new business models. And IFC likes to partner with people like you to provide input finance to those farmers, or working capital support, or ability to afford, precision Internet of Things infrastructure. IFC and our brothers and sisters at the World Bank are keen to partner with the private sector to support and help drive this important digital transformation across the entire value chain in our key markets within the poorer countries on the planet. So thank you again. Now I'd like to introduce a short video of Peter Njonjo, founder and CEO of Twiga Foods in Kenya, who saw an opportunity to disrupt the supply chain of fruits and vegetables in East Africa, similar to what Turo was able to do in India. We at the IFC are proud to be investors in Twiga and proud to be lenders to their farmers with access to finance to purchase inputs. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Njonjo. I'm CEO and co-founder of Twiga Foods. We're a B2B e-commerce business that's really centered around building efficiency across the food supply chain. What we do is that we leverage technology to aggregate demand of informal retail. Across Africa, most of 70 to 80% of retail is fragmented, where you have thousands and millions of retailers scattered around the continent. And what we do is that we leverage technology to aggregate that demand and really start building an efficient supply chain that allows us to then re-engineer the cost of food and other commodities. When I look at, for example, what we're able to do now is that with the aggregated demand, we're able now to actually engage farmers and have offtake agreements, things that were not possible in the past. And the reason why this is a very big issue is because we're seeing an increased level of urbanization across Africa, where there's a lot of inefficiency in food production, and that's leading to a very significant amount of disposable income being spent on food. Just for context, that number is about 55% across major urbans on the continent. And we feel that, with technology, we can reduce that number significantly. And of course, how then this leverages data in streamlining the whole supply chain. And just for context, now we have visibility of what's happening in retail. And by using that information to streamline food production, it means that now we're starting to engage commercial farmers who are focused on productivity, who are focused on traceability, and focused on food safety. And with that level of efficiency, we're now able to bring in the level of efficiency that exists in the export-oriented agricultural sector across the continent, and leveraging that in getting the domestic food sector also being as efficient. And I think for us, this is a problem that we see that we can solve across the continent. When I look at major urbans across West Africa, Central Africa, this is a problem that is pretty much replicated across these markets. And for us as Twiga Foods, we see this as our next phase of expansion, where this year we will start working in West Africa, and hopefully over the next couple of years, we will be in most of the major urbans across Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you.